What's going on, everybody? Today is Wednesday, April 25th, 2012, and this is the Diablo Daily, episode number 4. Today I'm just going to kind of cover the world of Sanctuary, like the title says. But what does that mean? I'm going to talk about the environment, some of the places we might visit. It's going to be a little bit more relaxed, probably a bit shorter than Wednesday's episode. Wednesday's episode, I think, lasted like an hour and 20 minutes or so. Talked about the lore on Wednesday, I got this confused. Today's only Wednesday. I talked about the lore and everything on Monday's episode. Monday's episode was a bit long. It was like an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes or so, just because the Diablo lore is pretty lengthy, and I didn't really want to leave anything out, but I tried to kind of briefly cover everything, all the important stuff at least. So, like I was saying, today we're going to cover the world of Sanctuary itself, and I'm going to show you off the map of Sanctuary, and we're going to talk a little bit about the places you go. I'm going to jump into Diablo 2. We're gonna look at some of the different environments, like the snow and desert areas and grasslands and swamps, and there's literally all kinds of different stuff. We're gonna talk a little bit about some of the Bestiary. I don't even know how to pronounce it, but we're gonna talk about the monsters you're gonna be fighting. I'm not gonna go too in depth with that. There's only a couple I'm gonna briefly touch on. Blizzard had a couple pages up for the monsters that you would fight for Diablo 3, that is. Maybe I'll probably end up mentioning some from Diablo 1 or Diablo 2, but I really wanted to focus on the couple that actually made it back into Diablo 3 from the previous two games. And I'll probably talk about how that is even possible after we've just killed all of them. So first I want to start off with a couple announcements. I gave out the rest of my beta keys yesterday, so I guess I wanted to do it on Monday, but Blizzard gave me keys like a month ago, and they expired because they updated their hardware or something. So I had to go back to Blizzard, and Blizzard hooked me up with some new keys. So thank you to Blizzard for that. And I gave them out yesterday. If you got a key, awesome, congratulations. Make sure you tweet and tell everybody that, I hooked you up with a key. If you didn't, I'm really sorry, but I only had a certain amount of keys. No amount of keys would be enough keys unless it's like an open beta. So again, I'm sorry. I pretty much just went through randomly and said, okay, you get a key, you get a key, you get a key. And that was kind of just how I did it. So if you didn't get one, I'm sorry. If you did, awesome. Make sure you make the best of it. Alrighty, so let's start talking about the world of Sanctuary. First, I'm going to pop up a map. Yes, a map. Pre-Diablo Lord of Destruction. It was before the this was before the World Stone shattered. Remember, like I was saying on Monday, Tyrael basically threw his sword, the Sword of Justice, the Eldrine, at the World Stone, and boom, it shattered, and that was the end of the World Stone. So this was before that event happened. And then, of course, we have the after. And it's much more pretty, and it's got colors, and it looks awesome. Now, personally, I can't really tell what the difference is between the two. Here we have, Ariat Crater right there. And up here we have Mount Ariat. And, okay, yeah. I'm stupid. Alright. So, here it's all connected, here it's connected. And here it's a bunch of different islands and whatnot. And that's just because when the World Stone went kaboom, and everything shattered, it pretty much just made, I don't want to really call it this giant explosion, but that's kind of sort of what happened. The World Stone broke into millions and millions of pieces, and the world literally like a giant earthquake kind of thing. I don't even know how the best way to explain that is, but yeah, I guess imagine a giant earthquake and the world kind of just shifting. So like California being an island in how many years. So that's kind of the gist of that. Let's jump right back in. So here we have, I'm just going to use this map actually. Like I said, this one is pre-Lord of Destruction, but it's kind of small and it's really hard to read. So we're going to use this one. So I'm just going to kind of briefly run through the different areas and, kind of just show off what I see, because to most people this is like, hey, cool, we've got a world map that's 2D and we don't really know what's going on. So if you can see right here where my mouse is at, we've got Tristram, and Tristram is actually where you play in Diablo 1. Ooh, wrong one. So Diablo 1, the game itself takes place in Tristram, and I talked about this, I think, over the last 2 episodes. You're only in Tristram. There's no acts. I guess there's different sections, because within Tristram you go to different places, and I'm going to touch on that in the second half of the show. There's the catacombs and hell and the caves and the cathedral and all those different places. But the game itself, your player character never leaves the town of Tristram or any of the places within it. Diablo 2 is a completely different story. Let's jump back into here. Diablo 2 is a different story. We're in Act 1, which is roughly around here, where my mouse is at, a little bit above Tristram. See the monastery? We go there. So yeah, the Sisters of the Sight, actually I think it even says it in this one. So yeah, I'm going to use that. Here we go. We've got Tristram here. We've got Sisters of the Side to Side, Rogue Pass. There you go. So we're roughly about here. Maybe a little bit northern. Maybe up here, say. And, of course, we go to Tristram in Act 1. And then what happens when we get to Diablo 2... And actually, I guess I could jump in game and kind of... Well, not really. Never mind. That's kind of boring. It's just a little loading screen. But anyway, Act 1 takes place here. And then once we kill Andariel... we go to Wariv, and Wariv takes us on this path to the east. Remember, in the lore episode, that was one of the quotes I said I liked, where Marius basically says, east. We always traveled east, following the Dark Wanderer. So we kill Andariel around here. We go to Tristram, whatever, kill Andariel. We follow Wariv to the east, through this mountain pass, and boom, we end up in Lut Gholein, in Aranok. Now, this is a desert area, and I'm going to jump in Diablo 2 once I kind of give the brief rundown. So here we've got this desert area, and we do a bunch of stuff. We kill the summoner. We kill Dariel. We're in Talrash's chamber, tomb, whatever you want to call it. And then Cain tells us we got to go east still. So we hop in Mashif's boat and we sail across the Twin Seas to Karast, right here. So now this is another completely different area. See, the first one was a little grasslands type thing. This was desert, and now we sail back to the east again, and now we end up in Karast. And Karast is like forest, swampy kind of area. I know that there's an actual swampland on the map, but we don't actually go there. At least not yet, that is. So Karast is kind of like this swampy, foresty jungle. I guess it's more of a jungle. So yeah, it's like a jungle type place. So there's really big trees, and it rains a lot. That's kind of the gist of that. We're in Karast for a bit. Act 3, this is where we kill Mephisto. And we go into the Durance of Fate, like I just said, we kill Mephisto, and we take this portal to Hell. So, Hell, I guess, isn't really on this map. It's probably like underground kind of a thing, So, that's not really there. But, once we kill Diablo in Hell, the Pandemonium Fortress, we somehow end up way the hell up here. Obviously, the Ariat Crater is where the World Stone is, so we're kind of in this general area. Einstag, I believe, is where the barbarians came from. So yeah, we're kind of in this area. Of course, in this map, it's like right here within all the mountains, and everything's put together. Barbarian tribes, boom. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at in Diablo 1 and Diablo 2. I'll go a little bit further. So Diablo 3, we know, okay, we're in Tristram. Actually, we're in New Tristram. That's kind of around this same area. And we even go as far as visiting Tristram. It's literally within a walking distance, obviously, because we walk down Old Tristram Road or whatever into the Old Ruins. Now, that's what they're calling Tristram, Old Ruins, and we have New Tristram is where we start off in Diablo 3. We walk along Overlook Road and the Old Tristram Road, whatever it's called, and then we have, like I said, the Old Ruins. So, that's about all we know for sure. Blizzard, well, that's all we have seen personally. And actually played. Now, at several BlizzCons, Blizzard has showed off parts of Act 2 and Act 3. They have not shown Act 4. So Act 2, I believe, is Chaldeum. So we're going to talk a little bit about that after I jump in Diablo 2, show off the environments a little bit. So I believe Act 2 is Chaldeum. And Act 3, I'm not exactly sure, but all we do know is that it's some kind of swampy area. So... Well, Blizzard has actually said that we're not going to be going back to any places in Diablo 1, or Diablo 1 or 2, aside from Tristram, which we kind of sort of visited in Diablo 2. So we're not going to be going to Karast, we know that much. I want to say possibly the Torrejon Jungles. My only reasoning for that is because that's where the Witch Doctors are from. According to the Witch Doctor lore and backstory, he was actually exiled from the Mbaru clan, and the Mbaru clan is from the Torrejon Jungles. So, I want to say that is where we're going to be visiting in Act 3. If not, probably this swampland, because it looks a lot more swampy than actual jungle type stuff. Although, this is kind of like central plains type stuff. I don't really know. Either here, or my best guess is, I'm not exactly sure. And actually, while I'm on this note, the Dreadlands, or the Demon Hunter is from, Jean Sai is from the Wizards, Skazglen, or the Druids from Diablo 2. The monks are from Yvgarad, which, from what I've read in the handy-dandy Book of Cain, somewhere in this area, like by close to the northern Aranok deserts, and you know, a little bit close to Einsteig. So I'm not exactly sure. Like, obviously it's not on the map anywhere. And again, I'm kind of just going from what I've read in the Book of Cain. It mentioned that the monks of Ivgarod kind of owned or had, you know, control or power over the northern deserts of Aranok and parts of Einsteig. So I'm assuming it's probably somewhere in this general area. Again, it's not here on the map, so I'm kind of just doing my best from what I know. So let's see, that covers the Witch Doctor, the Wizard, Barbarian again is up in this general area, Demon Hunter, and Witch Doctor. So that's all of them. That's all the 5 classes for Diablo 3. That's where they kind of come from. Oh, and I mentioned Skosglen, the Druids, and then there's Skovos, the Isles, which is where the Amazons are from. Rogue and whatnot from Diablo 1 were from this place, and then Vizjun for the Vizjurai, and yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. I mean, I won't go too in depth, it's not that big of a deal. But, so I've talked about Tristram, I've talked about a little bit about Chaldeum. Ura was one of the places they also mentioned right here, this place. Now, Ura is kind of interesting. It's the opposite of the Pandemonium Fortress. Pandemonium Fortress, again, is this kind of gateway to hell. It's an area that's like, it's kind of its own realm type thing. It's in Sanctuary, but it's kind of like a different realm. You got to take a portal to get there. So you take the portal to the Pandemonium Fortress, and this is the gateway to hell. And once you get on the steps of the Pandemonium Fortress, you end up in the first area in Act 4, which is hell. Ura, on the other hand, as we can see right here, is this desert-like area kind of by these mountains. Now this is, like I said, the complete opposite. Ura is the gateway to heaven, which was originally supposed to be in Diablo 3. Blizzard took it out and said, well, we don't want it in the original game, we want to put it in an expansion. So to me that means at some point in time we're going to obviously be visiting heaven through Ura. So I'm assuming that's going to be one of the expansions. Again, they've said that there's going to be 2 expansions in one of the investor calls, and actually, that reminds me, we've got another one coming up, I think it was May 9th, so a couple weeks away. Again, it's really not all that interesting for normal people like you and I. It's more aimed to investors. However, I do watch it just because Blizzard has been known to do things like, hey, we've got a beta coming up, and obviously it's not that big of a deal because D3 beta is already out. We're not worried about that. But again, at the last one they said that they've got 2 expansions planned for Diablo 3, one of which is going to be out within the first 3 years. So that means that we're looking at a Diablo 3 expansion by May of 2015. Now, yeah, that's kind of far away, and I'm hoping it's before 3 years, but 3 years is plenty of time to play the game. Like, Diablo 2 lasted for a solid decade, and actually they're resetting Diablo 2 ladder, so, I mean, Diablo 2's been out for a while, people are still playing that. So I'm not worried about that at all. So again, back to the world of Sanctuary. I was talking about Ura. It's the gateway to heaven, and we're going to be visiting that in a future expansion. So that kind of just helps plan out where we're going to be going. Now, as far as where we're actually going to be traveling, like from place to place, like I said, this is Act 1. Here is Act 2. Now, how we're going to be getting here, I'm not sure. Although I do kind of have a general idea. In Diablo 3, and actually I probably should have brought this up, so my bad, there's a boat. There's a dock in Tristram, in New Tristram that is, towards the southwest corner, and there's an NPC there, and he tells you that the ferry's not ready, or the boat's not ready, something along those lines, and basically you just have to complete the act before he'll sail you anywhere, which is kind of what I've gathered. So, with that in mind, I'm thinking we start off in Tristram, and we probably sail this way again, but instead of, like I said in Diablo 2, we followed Warav through here to Lutgalain. We're not going to be going to Lutgalain. We're probably just going to take the boat from here through the Twin Seas and right off into Kyrgyzstan, which is Chaldeum. So we're going to be skipping Lutgalain and not going to Kras. We're going to be going straight to Chaldeum because we already know that, well, we're assuming Act 2 is Chaldeum. Sorry. We kind of know that Act 2 is Chaldeum. It's this desert area. It'd be a huge surprise if it wasn't. So yeah, Chaldeum is going to be Act 2, and that is where we go, obviously, from Act 1. So now from there, that's kind of hard. I was talking about this before. We've got the Torajam jungles is what I'm assuming. And then Act 4, Blizzard hasn't shown, so that could literally be anywhere. I mean, I would like to think that it's because they have said we're probably going to be visiting Bastion's Keep. I would like to think that Act 4 is obviously going to have to be Bastion's Keep, and somewhere in this area. So I don't know. It would just be a huge opportunity to pass up. They've got this big place where there's just an open place in the world, and it's just got so much potential for really any kind of gameplay they want. Blizzard could say, well, hell is coming through here, or heaven's coming through here, whatever they decide. I want to say that this is where Act 4 is going to be. And then, of course, I was mentioning Yura will probably be an Act 5 expansion, and then I'm assuming we're going to have a 6th act in the 2nd expansion at some point. I just have absolutely no idea where or when. So we'll kind of have to play that one by ear. I'll probably talk about this a lot more once the game actually comes out, and I actually do have something to work with, other than just speculation and from what I've read in my handy-dandy Book of Cain. Okay, so that's kind of the gist of this. Now, I mentioned these different environments that we're talking about, and yeah, like I said, today's episode is really just going to be about the world itself, the places, the environments, everything that we visit. Last episode was about lore, and that got really long, which is not a problem. I'm just kind of using this to complement last episode, and this is actually going to be the last episode that I talk about. This is going to be like the last history lesson type episode. The next one I'm going to be talking about runestones, and that's going to be, from then on out, is going to be all gameplay. So this is kind of like a wrap up to the history, geography type stuff, and then we actually can get into the game. So anyway, World of Sanctuary. Ooh, I'm moving my desk. Sorry. World of Sanctuary. I'm going to jump into Diablo 2 and just kind of show off some of the environments. In-game. Here we go. Alrighty, so right now I am in Act 1. And as you can see, it's grassy and whatnot. I literally haven't left town, so it's not that big of a surprise. But we've got these wooden carriages. I'm going to go to the Black Marsh. Actually, this is probably the worst example I could have picked. So we're going to go to Stony Field. And it's literally nothing... perfect. Here you go. Here's Tristram. What the heck? I'll jump back into Tristram. Okay, so here we go. We've got Tristram. Kane's Cage and whatnot. I'm going to talk a lot about Tristram. The second half of the show, I'm actually going to show off Tristram. I'm going to show off Tristram over all 3 games because I thought that was super cool. The different... I don't really want to call it cameos, but I like how they've kept the same, geographic style, I guess you can call it. Yes, obviously it's the same place, so that really shouldn't have changed much. But unfortunately it has over the 3 games. Again, it's 15 years total or so over the course of all 3 games. So they've kind of reshaped what Tristram looks like. So I want to spend the second half of the show talking about that because I thought that was really interesting, and I wanted to share that. So anyway, back to Diablo 2. Here we go. It's very similar to, obviously, Diablo 1 because we're in the same area. So yeah, it's really not that different. We've got a little bit of a river going on here. Everything is pretty much just grassy, and that's it. So now I'm going to show off Act 2, which is completely different. I should probably turn off the sound. Why can't I turn off the sound? Whatever. Alright. Okay, there we go. Alright, Act 2, as you can see, is completely different. We've got, it's all desert area, and I'm just going to run out, the exit this way. I'm just going to run outside and show it off a bit. It's very, obviously, deserty, so it's a completely different environment, and that's kind of what I'm shooting for here. You can see, the dried up lakes, and we've got even different type of monsters here. We've got these, cat woman people type thing, huntresses, and then we've got these weird sand leper. I guess I don't really. It makes sense to call it a leper, but I believe that they're going for leaper because they kind of jump. Anyway, so you've got these places, the Stony Tomb, obviously stone, but it's it's in this sandy area, so it's completely different. I obviously don't have much to say about this other than the fact that dried up bones. It's a completely different area, and that's I like that Blizzard was kind of shooting for that. Literally, none of the places in Diablo 2 are the same areas or environmental style. Sorry. So let's just jump into Act 3, and I can show that off a little bit. Here you go, the Karast Docks, and again, let me actually show off. Sorry, wrong one. Let me show off where that is. So we've got the Karast Docks, and that is right about here. So the first act again was Tristram, and then I went to Litgalain and Aranok, and then we sailed to the east and ended up in Karast. Of course, I just took a waypoint, so I cheated. But we ended up in Karast, and this is kind of the general area that we're in. So let's jump into Diablo 2. Diablo 2. Okay, so as you can see, again, a completely different area. I'm just going to run out in the wild again and show off what we've got going on. And it rains a lot here. We've got the Great Marsh. So we've got these jungle areas, lots of trees, We've got these weird looking mini midget guys. And I mean, it's a very different style again. Now we've got like this tribal kind of a feel because, you know, we're out in the jungle. Again, we've got these mini lakes kind of just running through the middle of nowhere just because, you know, jungle, it rains a lot. That's just kind of the gist of this. Let's just go to Act 4 now because, again, there's really just not much to say. I just kind of wanted to show off the area. So now we go to Act 4. This is the Pandemonium Fortress. This is what I was talking about before. Pandemonium Fortress, again, is the gateway to Hell. So it's kind of like in its own realm within Sanctuary. It's not like anywhere on the map. It's just kind of, you know, third dimension type stuff. So we're just going to kind of look around. I mean, it's got this kind of weird heavenly feeling to it almost. But at the same time, it's supposed to be this fortress fending off the forces of Hell. So yeah, see, we've got these skulls and everything kind of hanging out. Here we go. I think this is the Outer Steppes. Plains of Despair is the next one. Sorry. So yeah, we've got these, again, different monster style. We've got these, everything is more like demon rather than like evil humanoid type stuff. See, these are like undead demons. See, Undead Knight is actually exactly what it says. We've got these fleshy type ridiculous demons. We got piles of skulls and bones here. Here we've got the oh god, I don't even remember what they're called from Diablo 1, but yeah, I mean, it says Balrog here, but that's not what they're called in Diablo 1. Anyway, we've got, see, little bits of hell kind of going on here. This kind of just leads off into the middle of nowhere. Let me try and find the end of it. Yeah, it just leads off into the middle of nowhere, and it's supposed to help show off the fact that, well, we're really not anywhere. Like, this is the gateway to Hell. We're about to be entering Hell, and this is kind of just like its own little weird dimension in the, you know, pocket spot in the universe. So now I'm just going to jump down to Hell itself. Here we got the River of Flame. Name, obviously, very straightforward, the River of Flame. So we've got Hadriel kind of standing here saying, yep, you're a fool, but go ahead and fight Diablo anyway. See, we've got these weird antelope-looking guys, and we can kind of just teleport up into the Chaos Sanctuary, where we end up fighting Diablo. Show off the little pendulum, because I think that's cool. Here we go. Here's the star. Where once you spawn all of the sorry, I just made town portal so I can get back without having to teleport. Anyway, once you spawn all of the or flip all the switches, then you can actually fight Diablo and don't have to worry about fighting him anywhere else with all these guys. Everybody pretty much dies. Anyway, this is the star where he spawns. Let's go back to town and jump into Act 5. Act 5. Let me show it off on the screen. Act 5 is right up here. So we went from here to here to here to somewhere, you know, in a different dimension, up to here. So obviously it's going to be a completely different environment. It's really snowy up here, being that there's mountains and whatnot. So I'm just going to show off a little bit of that, and then we're going to probably cut to a little break. I'll probably check and see if I have anything else to talk about. Here we got the main gate. Anyway, like I was saying last time, we kind of, once we leave the main gate, we see dead bodies. Again, this is from the lore episode. Pretty much what happens is Baal is trying to storm the gates. We've got this barbarian trying to fight these demons that are storming the gates. We've got, you know, it's a very mountainous area. Here, let me teleport to the end. Hopefully this doesn't take ridiculously long, so I can show off a nice little snowy area. See, we've got these like little huts going on and everything, fires and whatnot, just because these guys are out in the middle of nowhere. This might do. See, this kind of really helps show off, and actually I like this about Diablo 2. The way that they did this style of environment, like the graphics of the game itself, like you can actually see over the edge, and I was showing that off in Act 4 with the black spaces from Hell. See, here we've got this like steep mountainous type thing with this white kind of a glow showing that obviously it's snowing. So now I am going to try and get to waypoint. If this doesn't take, yeah, here we go. And we get to the Frigid Highlands waypoint. So now it starts getting a hell of a lot more snowy, and not the right one. Crystalline Passage. We're like in this underground icy area, as you can see. Boom, lots of ice, kind of blue, shows off the cold and whatnot. Frozen Tundra, same same style of thing. Now we've got these like pine tree style trees where, you know, they only grow in mountainous type wintry kind of areas. I don't really know how to explain it. So now basically, yeah, I'm just showing off. See, these monsters are even blue. Probably showing off that, hey, you know, we can survive in this ridiculously cold place. That's actually very convenient. Maybe I'll jump in there in a second. Anyway, this kind of really helps my point. Different areas, different monsters. That's just kind of what I'm trying to show off. And here, let me just kind of show this off. It's a portal to a random dungeon that spawned called the Infernal Pit. And now we take this portal, if it'll let me in. There we go. Oh man, I did that twice. This portal to hell. So basically, you can get to hell from anywhere. Alright, anyway, let's get out of here. I don't want to die, so let me get in here. Okay. So anyway, that's the gist of what we're looking at in Diablo 2. I thought that kind of wasn't too boring. I just kind of wanted to show off the different areas, like I was kind of showing off in here, except in game, as opposed to like, hey, look at this 2D map where you can't really see any graphics. So I hope that was a little bit interesting. The second half of the show, I'm going to talk about Tristram. Let me just kind of go through. I know I've got these pages up for some of the places they're going to be visiting in Diablo 3. This was Blizzard's old site. I had to use the Internet Archive to pull it up because they literally brought it down like last week, and I planned on using these pages to show it off. So I'll just kind of show off the pages a little bit, talk a little bit about it. And this is the Tristram Cathedral page, some concept art, and I can't even click on it because the archive, I guess, didn't archive it. Here's what we saw in the very first. Let me see if I can zoom in, actually. Yeah, that works. Here's what we saw in the gameplay trailer that I showed off in the first episode, the Worldwide Invitational 2008 one. Here, it literally just is the Tristram Cathedral. That's the place that we went to in Diablo 1. It's actually where we kind of start things off in Diablo 3. The entrance, another entrance, just some concept art, not a big deal. And this is, I believe, Abd al-Hazir talking about his experiences throughout the Tristram Cathedral. He's basically kind of like a Deckard Cain type character. We've never met him in game, but we're able to see a lot of his journals. I believe Cain references one of his journals throughout the way, but we don't actually meet him. Here is Chaldeum, the Borderlands. Maybe that's where we go. It's pretty much the same place. It's just that Chaldeum is like this. Chaldeum's like this overarching. It's supposed to be like the major city. People go there to trade. There's this young boy that's a prince, and that's kind of where the game takes place. So yeah, Chaldeum, the Borderlands. I'm not exactly sure what the Borderlands are. Again, it's been a couple of years. No big deal. Here we go. Some concept art. Here's a monster from Diablo 3 Act. Well, I'm assuming it's Act 2 again. Chaldeum. Again, we've got this very deserty area. Again, it's just. Oh, I think the Borderlands are one of the places in Act 2 that we actually go and we fight. So it's kind of like out in the desert. Anyway, here's Abd al-Hazir talking a little bit about what he sees again. It's really not all that important. It's just kind of interesting. If you want to check it out, you'll probably see it. Just Google like Abd al-Hazir's journals or something. And then this one is New Tristram. As you can see, it's kind of more grassy area. This is the place where you start off in Act 1 in Diablo 3 and in Diablo 2. Here's like the caravan that we bring along. Like, it's kind of like a feature that's sort of kind of there. It's like Leia and our artisans are what go in the caravan and follow us. That way they don't really have to be fighting most of the time. I'll explain the artisans and all that stuff in a future episode. They basically just craft stuff for us. There's the blacksmith and the jeweler. The mystic got cut. But yeah, I'll talk about that in a future episode. Like I said, I've got this all planned out. So back to New Tristram. We've just kind of got, again, Abd al-Hazir's little blurbs about it. Not a huge deal. This is probably one of the coolest concept arts, and I was using this as my background for God knows how many years, just because, like I said, it's one of the coolest concept arts I've seen. Again, it's just kind of showing off these places that we looked at over here. Remember Tristram, we've got Chaldeum, and that's just kind of the gist of what we're looking to do in Diablo 3. So what I'll do is I'm going to take a short break because my throat's starting to hurt. So I'm going to grab some water, we're going to take a short break, and in the second half of the show I'm going to talk about Tristram over the course of all 3 games and probably a couple monsters from all 3 games. Yeah, this episode's going to be a little bit shorter. So, here we go. Alrighty, and now we're back. Like I said, I just needed a short water break and kind of gather my things so we can get this started for the second half of the episode. Seems like today's episode is probably going to be a bit shorter, and actually now I'm saying that, and I'm probably going to be able to talk forever about Tristram, and I have no idea why. But again, for those of you just tuning in for the first time, I would highly recommend watching the first couple episodes. Again, this past episode, episode number 3, was all about lore, so this is kind of just like the tail end of that episode. Like I said, it talks about lore and the history and everything that happens in Diablo, and here I'm kind of just showing off the setting and where it is that we go along with the environment. So again, this is just going to be the last history lesson type episode. I mean, obviously I'm always going to be dating things back to Diablo 1 and 2, but the next episode and from here on out, Fridays and from then on out, is going to be all about gameplay. And actually, that reminds me, Friday's episode is going to be at 1 p.m. PST. I'll tweet it, and I'll make sure everybody knows. Yeah, it's going to be 1 p.m. PST, which is 4 Eastern. Again, I've got a final on Friday, so I kind of got to do this earlier so I can get to my final. Ironically, I have to leave for my final at the same exact time that I normally do these shows, so we're just going to have to deal with that, I guess. But this is the last week of finals for me, and then I've got summer. Of course, I'm taking summer classes, but that won't be a big deal. So again, Friday's episode, 1 p.m. PST and 4 p.m. Eastern. Again, I'm going to tweet it. I'll have the EG account tweet it and everything. That way there's no confusion. If you accidentally missed it, no big deal. You can check out the VODs. Like I said, you can check out the earlier VODs. You'll be able to see this one. No biggie. So again, the second half of this episode, I really wanted to talk about Tristram itself over the course of the 3 games. So in order for me to do that, I'm going to jump into these Tristram maps from Diablo 1 and Diablo 2. And I'm also going to jump into Diablo 3. So here we go. Here's my screen. There we go. Alright, so I'm just going to kind of go through and point out things that I see. And I mean, it's going to be very simple. And then we'll jump into Diablo 2, and I will actually go into the gameplay of Diablo 3, so we can show that off. Actually, I forgot to log into Diablo 3, so shame on me. Alrighty, so right here we've got, I'll zoom in a little bit and zoom back out here and there, so. Alright, let's zoom in. Right here we've got Farnham the Drunk, just kind of hanging out right here. He wasn't a very important character, he just kind of helped for gossip. And I'm assuming this is his house. We actually spawn and start right here when you join the game. Here we've got Griswold the Blacksmith, and this is his kind of shop style thing. We've got Ogden and the Rising Sun Inn. That's obviously his inn. We've got Jillian the Barmaid, and I'm assuming the bar. We've got Pepin the Healer and his little healing hut type thing. Now, in the overarching kind of look, we've got Hell. This is a crack to Hell. We'll zoom in over here. We've got the entrance to the caves right here. And actually, we've got Wirt, the peg-legged boy, kind of hanging out here. Now, Wirt is actually one of the few cameos that's made it into all the games. Wirt's leg was in Diablo 2. It was what you used to make the cow level. Wirt's other leg or something was in World of Warcraft. And then in Diablo 3, I think we have Wirt's real leg or something like that. Basically, it's not the stick, it's his actual leg. So anyway, Tristram, we've got the Giant Cathedral, we've got the Wounded Townsman, who actually, they gave him a name in one of the spin-off series, like the D&D RPG or something along those lines, and I forgot his name, just because I just learned about it not too long ago. So, yeah, if you're curious, look that up. Otherwise, he's been known as the Wounded Townsman for years. So anyway, Tristram Cathedral, I think in Hellfire we've got something that spawns right here, which is the Crypt. Here we've got the Catacombs entrance. Again, we've got the infamous cows that kind of started off the whole cow level thing. Here is where the town portal area is. In Hellfire, we've got the hive spawning right here in between on this bridge. We can kind of work our way this way. And then we've got Adria the Witch and her little hut, her kettle. Adria is the mother of Leia, and the father of Leia again being the Dark Wanderer, aka Aiden, the Diablo 1 warrior. So yeah, that's Leia's mother and father. Leia is Cain's adopted niece. Adria is supposedly dead. I'm saying supposedly with the air quotes because we don't actually know that she's dead. We haven't actually seen that she's dead. We kind of just read her journals and assume that she's dead because we've got her journals. So we've got Adria. That's kind of all the main characters and ideal locations in Diablo 1 that I believe I've pointed out. I don't think I've missed it. Oh wow, we've got Dagger Cain right in the center, and obviously the fountain. I don't know how I missed that. So yeah, that's the big one. Dagger Cain's like the main character of the story almost. So that I believe should cover everything. In Hellfire we've got this weird kind of cow-looking guy. I think he's called like the Nut or something. He like wears his cow suit, and you get this cow armor, cow leather, hide, whatever. But yeah, he's kind of around here. Hellfire wasn't too important. Blizzard doesn't really view Hellfire as canon. They may take things from Hellfire and play off of it, but they don't necessarily view it as canon. So anyway, this is Diablo 1 Tristram. Let's jump into Diablo 2 Tristram. Now, I'm just going to kind of go through and show off what I see. So here, yeah, obviously it was put together, as you can see, the Barbarian is just, hanging out in different spots. But anyway, here's what we've got going on. And I'm going to keep the old Tristram map up, and I'll probably flip back and forth. So here we've got Diablo 2. Here's Deckard Cain's cage. Remember I said Deckard Cain got, held prisoner. I don't want to really say kidnapped, but he was pretty much held prisoner. Here's the fountain again. Oh, sorry, the fountain. This is the area that you spawn up in Diablo 1. We've got Farnham right here on this rock. I want to say that that's Farnham's body. See, let's say right down here, and this would be Farnham's house. Normally in Diablo 1, again, he's sitting right here. See, boom, we've got Farnham hanging out right down here in this corner. So we've got what appears to be Farnham's house and Farnham's body. Here is Griswold's smithing shop, and actually we end up fighting like a corrupted, cursed Griswold. So he's still alive, just cursed and undead, and we kill him, unfortunately. And again, here we've got Ogden's Tavern, we've got Pepin the Healer's house, Jillian's house, or bar, sorry. Here's what appears to be the cathedral burned down. I'm not exactly sure what the deal with that is, but yes, I mean, it appears to be the burned down cathedral. In this corner, I guess you can't really see it from here, but we have Wirt's dead body, and this is actually where you get Wirt's leg from to make the cow level. It's just right behind these rocks. I think it's this right here. You can't really see it because the map is kind of far out. But yes, in Diablo 1, like I said, we've got the town portal area spawning up here. Kind of the same general area for this portal to be spawning. Again, it's probably more like up here instead of here, but same general area. And that's kind of the gist of the Diablo 2 map, although, I mean, we have a river here and a river here, and in Tristram we actually have this same river here and this river here. So again, it kind of follows the same theme. Now, obviously, there's no crack to hell or anything like that, so that's not a big deal. We've got these rocks on the other side of this wall, which you can't see in this picture, which are where the caves would be. And then, of course, we have Adria's hut up here. Now, that would probably be somewhere up out here. Again, we kind of just traveled back to Tristram in this portal. So yeah, we don't actually walk to Tristram. We take this weird portal to it that spawns from the Cairn Stones. So it's not like the same exact area, but I mean it's still Tristram. We're still visiting Tristram. It's just kind of like this condensed version of it almost. But again, the major features are there. So now I'm going to actually jump into Diablo 3. So bear with me for one moment because I forgot to do that. But I'm really excited for this. I remember playing through the Diablo 3 for the first time, and I was running through Tristram, and I'm like, wow, this is really cool. And I'm kind of spotting things. Before I'd even planned on doing this show, turn off the music that I can't turn off. Sorry. Sound. Okay. Sorry, I gotta log in real quick. So yes, so like I was saying, there's the Tristram area that I was kind of just looking at as I was playing before I even planned on doing the show, and I'm like blown away because of all these things that they've included. Here we go. Now I'm in game, and actually I get to show off my cool in-game overlay. Boom. Alright, here we go. See? Oh, and I messed up the camera. Oh, I'm just gonna have to do it this way because I got a new camera from the blue screens. Oh well, sorry guys. I'm just gonna have to do this, but anyway, let's just run through Tristram. Here we go. Obviously there's all these monsters, so I'm not that high of a level. I'm going to do my best not to die. Okay, so here is where we would spawn. Right, we've got this stump kind of thing. So in Diablo 1, yep, I'm getting whispers, whatever. I've got this area right here. This is where we spawn in Diablo 1. Up here is where the town portal is in Diablo 2. We've got the waypoint right here, about where the town portal area is in Diablo 1. So let's kind of walk back this way. This right here is Griswold's shop. Again, this is during earlier versions of the beta. That thing that I just popped open, this thing right here that dropped the sword, is actually, or used to actually drop Griswold's edge. Griswold's edge was actually a legendary weapon. It was a legendary weapon in Diablo 1, or unique, rare, whatever in Diablo 1, that they're calling legendaries in Diablo 3. But yeah, so that used to drop Griswold's edge, which was a legendary sword, one of the few legendary items that were such low levels. So again, you can see his anvil kind of hanging out here, and this says Griswold's Fine Weapons. So this was clearly Griswold's shop. Let's kind of walk back here again. We've got Farnham's house. Ooh, sorry, this is Farnham's house, my bad. And this is kind of where Farnham would be sitting. Again, we've got these like bodies hanging out and everything. Pile of bones. Here we've got where Pepin's house would be. Pepin the healer. We've got Deckard Cain's fountain, and this is Deckard Cain's cage. This would be Ogden's house. Again, and this would be, well, not his house, sorry, this would be the Rising Sun Tavern. And this is where Ogden's house is, and then we've kind of got this little dark cellar underneath it, probably for him to keep stuff in, obviously. It's a cellar. So here we've got this random fountain kind of just hanging out. Again, this is where the games kind of start to get a little bit different. Blizzard kind of have these random doodads kind of hanging out. Although, like I was saying, everything is relatively the same. So we've got this dead guy's body. He normally drops a journal. I must have already picked it up yesterday when I was prepping for the show. We've got Jillian's house, and she's the barmaid, so probably the Jillian's bar. And now let's kind of run backwards a bit. Here's Old Tristram Road. This is, again, obviously the road to New Tristram. Let me see if I can just pull it up on the map. There's New Tristram down there. This is Overlook Road. And here we have Tristram, what is what they're calling the old ruins, being that it's Tristram, Old Tristram, and it's old ruins. So now, like I was saying before, Blizzard kind of changed things up a bit. I'm going to run to Adria's hut. It's kind of in the relatively same direction, but it's a different path. So let's run to Adria's hut. Like I was saying, here's kind of the general town portal area from Diablo 1. Now let's kind of run up this way. We've kind of just got these houses along the way. So now Tristram has kind of been expanded, obviously. And now we get to Adria's hut. See, this is Adria's hut. We've got Adria's kettle. In Diablo 1, this is kind of just where she's standing. Let me see if I can pull that up. Right now we're standing like right here. We've got her kettle, her hut. See, we've got right here her kettle, her hut. Now we've never actually been able to go inside her hut, so we don't know that there's really a hidden cellar down there. And this is where Leia is. This is where we see Leia. There's a cauldron, whatever, because again, she's a witch. We see this guy, Captain Dalton, who is going to kill me. But anyway, I'm not here to do this quest. I'm just kind of showing stuff off. What happens is, after we complete this quest, Leia basically tells us about Adria. We go talk to her, and then we get this journal from Adria, and Adria says, Aiden came to me last night. Aiden, again, is the Diablo 1 warrior. We just kind of learn a little bit about that. She starts talking, which is, why we assume she's dead, because we don't actually see her body. We just get her journals. So again, it's really just an assumption, but I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't want any spoilers. I mean, again, I don't actually know. I'm just kind of speculating. So let's just kind of jump out of Diablo 3. And yes, that's Tristram over all 3 games very briefly. I'm probably just going to take a couple minutes to talk about some of the monsters, and then I want to get into some community questions. If you guys have any questions for me in the chat, because I think that's a good idea, and I wanted to start doing that. but we'll get to that. Okay, so like I was saying, I just wanted to talk about the monsters just a little bit. Again, this episode is mainly just, you know, the tail end of the lore episode from Monday. So here we have the fallen ones, and you can't actually see that because the picture's gone. So the fallen ones, now let's scroll down a little bit. Actually, here we go. This is Volume 5 of the Demonicus de Zoltan Kulle. Remember, Zoltan Kulle was this character that was in the Herodrum. He was like this demented, sketchy, weird guy that wanted to do things on his own, so he kind of broke off, and they had to kill him. And here we have Decker Kane and Abd al-Hazir quoting things from this book, I guess, that he wrote called the Demonicus. So he's talking about the fallen ones and how they infuriated Asmodon for letting the Primevals continue to stay alive. Again, Primevals, Diablo, Mephisto, and Baal, and then we have the 4 lesser evils, Asmodon, Belial, and Dariel and Duriel. 5 of the 7 are dead, leaving Asmodon and Belial in charge. So again, we have the fallen ones, and there's different types of fallen ones. There are imps, as you can see from this picture. These are the most common ones, and actually, that's what it says right there. These are the most common ones. We fight them right in Act 1. We have the shaman. These are kind of like, these are the ones that raise the imps from the dead from Diablo 2, and obviously they were back in Diablo 3. We have the lunatic, which looks kind of funky. I think this is what they used the April Fool's joke from. In like 2008 or 2009, they made like this Diablo pinata, I think, or no, it was a Diablo head, sorry, my bad. So anyway, we've got the lunatic, we've got the overseer that seems to be like one of the strongest ones. He also, I think the overseer is the one that has the hounds with him, and this is the fallen hound. So yeah, we've got these different types of fallen. In Diablo 2, all we had were the shaman and the imps, although they weren't actually called imps, they were just regular fallen. And the shaman were the distinct-looking ones that had the staves and raised the fallen from the dead. They were kind of like, you know, the big brother type character. But yes, so we have the fallen returning from Diablo 2. Close out of that one. And then we have, let me get it because I've got them all open, sorry, the Khazra. The Khazra are the goat men, and I was really, really pumped about this because the goat guys were like my most favorite characters or monsters to kill in Diablo 2, or sorry, Diablo 1. Goatmen were like by far, and actually yeah, Diablo 2, they were like by far my most favorite monster to kill. Other than, I think they were called the Vanishers or something like that. And basically you hit them and they kind of just like cough and then they vanish. But otherwise, in Diablo 1, my most favorite monster to kill was the Goatman, just because of this ridiculous noise that he made. So it was just so awesome, and I'm glad to see that they're coming back in Diablo 3. Here you go. Some in-game shots. Let me see if I can zoom in again. Some in-game shots of them. You can't really see because it's kind of far away. They got these little encampments, and this guy's got like a staff. Pretty cool stuff. I'm just glad to see that they're coming back. Again, more from Abd al-Hazir. Basically, this guy wrote journals about all the monsters and these different places and everything that we see or used to see on the Diablo 3 homepage. I'm gonna check with Bashok and see if they backed up those journals anywhere or plan on putting them back up again, because those are really cool. Or maybe we'll see them in the game. I don't know. I will try and double check, because that was really cool from a lore standpoint. And there were some journals that they hadn't released yet, because they were planning on doing, I don't know, I think there was 100 of them total, and each journal was numbered. Let me see if I can see the number of this one. No, I can't. It must have been in the image. No big deal. Anyway, we've got the Khazra coming back, the Fallen coming back, and then we've got these other monsters. Obviously, they need to introduce new ones. We've got the Unburied. Let me see if I can zoom in again. Here we go. The Unburied. These guys are like these giant like things, just like made of everything, basically. Again, we've got like more from Abd al-Hazir. We've got the Scavengers. Sorry. Here we go. We've got these Scavengers that kind of remind me of like Quill Rats and Quill Beasts, although the Quill Rats and Beasts are back again from Diablo 2. They just don't have a page about it, at least not that I can see. We've got the Dune Thresher, which we never encountered in-game yet. These guys are in Act 2. We've got the Undead. These are just skeletons. Again, they're coming back. They weren't one of my favorites. Again, they're just, random skeletons, no biggie. We've got these Gnarled Walkers, which are kind of cool, and we weren't supposed to encounter them in-game yet, but if anybody has played like that exploit that you were able to get to further places in the game, in the Diablo 3 beta, then you've seen the Gnarled Walkers. They're kind of just like, it's pretty trippy. They're like just trees kind of hanging out there, and then when you run by them, they just hit you, and all of a sudden they become, an animated monster. It's pretty cool. I like what they did there. And then of course we have these dark cultists. The dark cultists are these like undead mage warrior type things that probably have rose when the meteor hit, which is kind of where a lot of these are coming from. Like I said earlier, I was going to explain how these guys came to be, and that's likely because the meteor hit and everything in Tristram rose, which is why we can fight these goatmen, which is why the Fallen are back. It just seems like a very logical viewpoint from a lore viewpoint. So that's kind of the gist of the monsters we'll be seeing. Obviously, we're going to see a ton more monsters. It's not really... Blizzard hasn't really showed us all of them. There are some that we've encountered, some that we've seen in-game, but again, Blizzard doesn't have like these huge pages about each of them. This was kind of one of the things that they did pre-beta and obviously pre-release to kind of help hype up the game, give us more information, because those of us that followed the game every day from the day it was released in 2008, we kind of wanted something new, and for a while there was just nothing. Of course, until they launched this site. So I want to say that is everything about the world of Sanctuary. There are things that I probably could have covered that maybe I'll just kind of I'll briefly talk about them. I thought it was really cool that the Diablo Wikia did this. So we've got the history, I talked about that last week. Town's not a big deal. I think this is cool. Fauna, plants, ethnic groups, geography, climate. I'll just go into all of them very briefly, I guess. Here we've got the fauna. Obviously, it's only like a paragraph, but I thought it was pretty cool. Basically, it just says, here are the types of rodents and animals that did not become corrupted, because when the demons come, these guys kind of just run away, and it's just like small rodents like rats and insects and reptiles like, I don't even know, like lizard type things, and we've got rabbits, and basically those are the kind of, they're not monsters, they're kind of like neutral NPCs in Diablo 2 that we can kind of run around and just squish. We actually do that in Diablo 3 also. So now let's look at a little bit of plant life. This is cool. It's kind of like a geography / archaeology episode, I guess. So anyway, obviously cactuses in desert areas, cabbage trees, desert area. We've got these jungle trees, pine tree that I showed off. We've got the swamp grass, shrubbery, whatnot. It's just kind of cool that they did this, so I'm giving them a little bit of a shout out. We've got these ethnic groups, so people sorted by hair color, skin color, structure of your face, and it's just the Diablo 1 and Diablo 2 NPCs and player character classes. Diablo 3, there's actually very, very diverse group of people. Like the wizard is supposed to be Asian, and then the witch doctor is like this tribal African type character, and then we've got the monk is supposed, I don't even know what the monk is supposed to be. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. The barbarian is supposed to be like this Caucasian type thing. I believe the monk is also supposed to be Caucasian as well as the demon hunter. But I mean, I like the diversity there. Now I could be wrong. Again, I believe Jay Wilson has gone over this before, so it's been a while for me. But no biggie. It's not all that important. My main point is here that there's diversity in cultures within the world of Sanctuary. We've got geography, not a big deal. I went over this at the beginning. Climate, this was really cool. I kind of went over this at the beginning as well. So you've got temperate climate in Kanduras, and Kanduras is Act 1. Aranok, again, is the desert area, Act 2, so obviously it has a desert climate. Kyrgyzstan is Act 3, frequent rainfall, I mentioned that. Haragoth is Act 5, it's the cold place by Mount Ariat. Let me see if I can show it off. Yeah, see this place, whoa. In Act 5, pretty sweet stuff. I thought that was worth mentioning. I thought it was pretty cool, kind of just briefly covering it. I think there was something else that I wanted to mention that now I just don't remember, so I'm sorry. But that's kind of the gist of this episode. Like I said, I just wanted to talk about the world of Sanctuary and the environments that we go through. It's just supposed to be, like, again, this tail end of the lore episode, just to kind of help cover that a bit. So that's the gist of the world of Sanctuary. That's everything that we'll be experiencing. Diablo 3 is going to have different environments. Like I said, this desert place. We've got probably the snowy area if we go to Bastion's Keep. We've got Chaldeum being in the desert, Tristram being in this grasslands type place, and then I'm assuming heaven, hell, something along those lines. We also have, again, probably the Torjan jungles, Vizjun, or swamplands. So again, we've got these very diverse environments. Oh, and now I remember what I wanted to mention. These different religions that I started talking about last week. There are different religions in the world of Sanctuary. There we go. And let me see if I can pull that up. we've got different religions, and it's not a huge deal. I just kind of wanted to mention it. Yeah, it's not even on this page. Oh, actually, here we go, Triune. So there are these different religions in the world of Sanctuary. We've got the Triune was one of them. We've got the Cathedral of the Light was another one. The Triune cultists are actually the guys that we fight. Remember I was showing off the Dark Cultist before. Yeah, I mean, it's not this huge deal. I thought it'd be cool to mention Cathedral of the Light. There we go. But yes, in the Diablo franchise, there's all kinds of religions. There's all kinds of cults and groups and clans. Like the wizards have their own thing. The assassins have their own thing. Sorcerer, rogue, warrior, barbarian. Everybody kind of has their own ethnic group within the Society of Sanctuary. And it's actually really interesting when you start looking at things that way, because this semester in school I'm taking sociology, so it's kind of it's like the study of the human society, basically. So it's just kind of interesting seeing this same kind of theme and style put into Diablo. But so yes, Blizzard did a very good job coming up with the world of Sanctuary. That should cover everything in the world of Sanctuary, the lore, history. We should be good to go with that. Friday's episode again is going to be 1 p.m. PST. 6 p.m. Eastern, and I'm going to be talking about the runestone / skill systems. I want to kind of end off today's episode on community questions, so if you guys have any questions, please put them in the chat right now. And I will go ahead and listen. Not sure my preview still shows my nameplate, but whatever. So yes, any questions, feel free to hit me. And I'm just going to switch to my nameplate for now. Yeah, I mean, I was doing, I'm majoring in computer information systems, so I have to take sociology and psychology and stuff like that. But yeah, go ahead, hit me with a question. Well, that doesn't help. Anyway, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be about this particular topic, but whatever. I don't know, think of questions for Friday if you guys have any. I really wanted to end all my episodes on this. Here we go. Our character is going to be unique this time around. That's actually a good question, and I forgot to mention that in last episode because they removed the stat system. Stat system isn't really a big deal, but all of the characters that we're going to be playing are the same unique character. My barbarian is the same character as your barbarian. I mean, obviously we might have different builds, different items, but from a lore point of view, my barbarian and your barbarian are the same barbarian character. That way, everybody has the same lore, and should they, I don't know, make this into a movie, then they don't have to worry about these thousands of barbarian characters all doing the same stuff. And that's how it was in Diablo 1 and 2, right? They had Aiden was the warrior, then they have the rogue and the sorcerer, and they are just these single heroes. And same with Diablo 2, they're just these single heroes. And actually, Blizzard has said that Diablo 2 to Diablo 3, all of the Diablo 2 characters are going to be making cameos. Whether they are alive or dead, we won't know. So, for example, we encounter, I think, the Necromancer's apprentice, and he is one of the quest givers in Act 2 of, I believe, a random event. Not sure if he's like a major quest giver or if he's just a random event. So, yes, all the Diablo 2 characters are going to make cameos in Diablo 3. Wednesday's episode during the lore actually mentioned Aiden was a Dark Wanderer. He's the warrior from Diablo 1. And then we have the rogue being Blood Raven in Diablo 2, the sorcerer being the summoner in Diablo 2. And then there were 3 other classes that I don't think I mentioned. There's the monk and the barbarian, which are pretty much the characters from Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. Barbarian is not the same character. The Diablo 3 barbarian is not the same Diablo 2 barbarian, because then Blizzard would have problems, because the male barbarian in Diablo 3 would have a different lore than the female barbarian. So it's supposed to be this different barbarian character, but again, we have 10 classes in Diablo 3, because there's male and female for all of them. So, yeah. Otherwise, I like that they kind of pointed this out. They didn't really, like I said before, Hellfire is not really cameo, but they still kind of mentioned it, and I can't figure out how to redo it. But they actually, passing by, they went through and they have the NPCs just kind of talk. One of them mentioned how the Bard got eaten or something along those lines, and the Bard was actually the 6th class from Hellfire. So all the Diablo 1 classes are accounted for. Diablo 2 classes will be accounted for, so we're going to see what happens to everybody. And then, of course, we have the Diablo 3 classes. And then we have a question, How many years have passed between Diablo 2 and Diablo 3? In between Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, there were 15 years. Diablo 1 and Diablo 2, I believe, were relatively in the same time span. Like, it just kind of picked up right where it left off. Basically, from Diablo 1 to Diablo 2, just had the Dark Wanderer travel from Tristram to going east. So the first place that you encounter is the Rogue Encampment by the Sisters of the Sai in Honduras, I believe. So yeah, Diablo 1 and Diablo 2 was in the same time frame, and then Diablo 3 is 20 years later. And like I was saying, Blizzard released that Sword of Justice comic series where they talk about the 20 years in between. Like I said last time, Tyrael throws a sword at the World Stone. Sword goes flying. World Stone breaks, but the sword goes flying and lands in this kid Jacob's hands, and that's kind of where this comic series takes place. And again, it's the 20 years in between. Alrighty, guys. Yeah, I've got my BlizzCon shirt on. Hey, I've got all the BlizzCon shirts, so I'm glad that they kind of I'm getting to put them to use now because they kind of just sit in my closet and I do nothing with them. So I've got all these Blizzard and Diablo, StarCraft, Warcraft shirts that I'm just going to be putting to use on this show. Alright, so that'll wrap up this week, or not even this week, sorry I keep saying that. That'll wrap up today's episode, The World of Sanctuary. So again, Friday's episode is going to be 1 p.m. PST, 4 p.m. Eastern. Otherwise, all the shows are the same time for next week. Everything is going to be back to normal, but again, I've got a final on Friday, so I got to do the show earlier. So 1 p.m. PST, 4 p.m. Eastern. Friday's show is going to be about runestones and the skill system. So I am going to cut to some music, and I will see you guys on Friday.